Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa, and today we're going to be kicking off our Friday videos. So I will be posting on Monday and Friday. Friday is going to be based on cleaning and maintaining your house. Monday is going to be about minimalism, family, and kind of mindset. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I initially wanted to start my YouTube channel just to do cleaning videos. My husband kind of pushed me into the whole minimalism direction. So I sat down for a couple of weeks and wrote out all the topics that I wanted to talk about. And through that, I kind of seen that, I needed to have a category for minimalism and for cleaning. So now I have two series that I want to start, and I'm going to have multiple series obviously on our Fridays, but under each series, I want to go into kind of a topic and then kind of subtopics. That way I'm able to break it down a little bit more. So when I was younger, I was raised in the South, and if you know anything about the South, everyone there kind of collects things just in case, or maybe they'll use it, and if they don't use it, they'll find a reason to use it. So that was definitely the mentality that I was raised in the environment. I always appreciated a clean house, and I remember always helping my friends and cousins kind of organize their closets and declutter the items that they didn't like. I also like to detail everybody's car. So I always appreciated cleaning, and it's kind of like the reward that you feel afterward. Definitely not the middle part of the chaos. But now that I understand cleaning and that I've gotten more familiar with it, I definitely enjoy the whole process. So then as I got older and Julian and I had moved in together, I really didn't have a foundation of cleaning. I didn't have a baseline to fall back onto, no systems or any knowledge of how to clean anything. So I definitely had to adjust, and his parents had always cleaned on the weekends, typically on a Sunday. So I did pick up their cleaning system and I applied it to our house whenever we had moved out. So from there was my baseline, and now it has grown into kind of a more in-depth cleaning. And I kind of understand now the time frames of how long you need to wait between cleanings and how often you should clean things. So I really want to share that just so you can maintain your house as well. So just to explain that system a little bit more in depth. So they would deep clean their house on Sundays. So that would be the bathrooms and the floors and other areas of the house. But throughout the week, they would do dishes and things here and there just to maintain the house. So that is exactly what I did with ours. So that meant that I spent a whole day out of the week cleaning my entire house. So that did work, and it was easier before we had children. So moving on a little bit ahead of time, and we purchased our first house, we also had children. So the chaos had entered the building. And I remember always having laundry and laundry baskets and having to do dishes for an extended period of time. And, I would look around and it literally looked like a daycare was understaffed because there was toys everywhere, there was my stuff everywhere, and it was just chaotic. So, I'm someone that appreciates a clean house, and I understand that with a clean house comes a calm mind, and I wasn't able to achieve that. So it really got to me, and I'll be going deeper into this in our minimalism story. So then once we had purchased our house and we had a few more children, that system obviously was not able to support the maintenance of our house and our family. And I remember sitting there and just thinking, I will never have a clean house again, and I don't know where to even begin. So around that time is when I discovered that there was cleaning videos on YouTube, and I remember watching those and getting extremely motivated to clean. So that's exactly the system that I had applied then. So after discovering the cleaning videos on YouTube, I thought that was my saving grace, but it turned out that it wasn't. So let me explain that a little bit deeper. So I was using these cleaning videos to find motivation to clean my own house, and it was working for a while, but it completely changed whenever my children kind of taught me a lesson. So as many of you parents probably already know, that what our children is watching is kind of what they become. So when your children are watching a cartoon that kind of is, going against what you agree with in your household and how your children should behave, then they start acting those things out, and instantly, okay, no more of this show. Well, our children was watching a cartoon, and it's an innocent cartoon, but the behaviors in there is just something that we don't agree with, and making fun of people or picking here and there is just something we don't accept in our house. So that was happening in our home. And my husband and I was already aware that, it's stemming from this cartoon. So we instantly shifted what our children was watching to something more kind of educational, but keeping their interest. We don't want them to, obviously not have any entertainment, but if they can have entertainment and learn at the same time, that's completely beneficial. So that's exactly what we did. And from that lesson, I kind of was interested into thinking, okay, so if that has that much effect on my children, what effects does what I am watching have on me? So observing what my children was watching and seeing the effects of them, I then started doing the same with myself. So I noticed that when I was watching, suspenseful videos or shows or whatever, it was causing, anxiety or stress or fear. When I was watching, videos where someone was going through an unfortunate event, it also inflicted worry. So then I took it a step further and started being aware of kind of everything that I was intaking. Just because if I'm not going through a situation, I shouldn't feel the effects of that situation. So the worry and the doubt is just not needed. So then once I was aware of what I was watching and how it was impacting me, I then became more aware of what I was saying to myself, but also hearing others say. So I would avoid hearing and also saying like, this is extremely hard, or this is impossible, that's unrealistic, those types of things. So once I started avoiding those kind of descriptive words, then I started seeing that my mindset was even shifting even further. I started being able to tackle bigger tasks and, not thinking, this is hard, this is difficult, this is impossible. So watching what you're watching, but also what you're saying is critical to shifting your mind. So then I started looking at the videos that I was watching on YouTube. And a lot of those videos were completely agreeable systems, right? So with the bigger cleaning channels, they let their house fall apart, then they clean it, and their reward is a paycheck, which is very intelligent. I don't find anything wrong with that at all. I think it's the same situation as when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So if you can get paid to clean your house, that is a perfect system. But for the person on the other side of the camera, where we let our house fall apart and then we spend a whole day cleaning it, and because we don't have that huge reward at the end, we don't have as much motivation to do so. So then it clicked. I had been applying that system of letting my house fall apart, trying to clean it all in an entire day when it was at its worst, and trying to find the motivation from somebody else to help me get my house clean. So it was a complete overload of effort and very little to no reward. And if you know anything about effort and reward system, then that is an unbalanced system and it will fail. So that is what I was dealing with, and I was completely oblivious of that fact. When you repeat this pattern, it starts affecting you in many ways. It begins with feeling like you've lost control over your home, and then you're not capable when other people are to clean your home. And then your best friend comparison moves in, and that's where everything starts falling apart. And that destroys your confidence. And when you're not confident, you start doubting every decision that you're making it a lot harder to achieve your goals, making it a lot harder to clean your house, and making it a lot harder to know who you are. So after this chain reaction of everything starting to make sense and finding out what my patterns and behaviors were, then I was able to change that. And after I changed that, my mindset had shifted and it just grew like wildfire. So bringing awareness to yourself is definitely the first step. And through that, I noticed that, I was aware of the problems that was going on in my house. Whenever you go into your children's room or their playroom or, your teenager's room, you start going around and you start labeling your systems. You just have to put your clothes in the laundry basket, put the dishes in the sink, put your cars in the car bin or your train tracks in the train bin, and the list goes on. So it's not that you don't have systems, it's just that you're not aware that you have placed systems in. And, it's always easier to see someone else's, flaws and what they should be doing in comparison to ourselves. So after, that had clicked that, I already have these systems in place and, I did that unintentionally, it was just subconsciously. Then I started seeing, okay, if I'm preaching to my family that all you have to do is X, Y, Z, I'm not doing those things. And, I started giving myself excuses. And those excuses sounded a little bit like, I have to work, or I have to get the kids off to school, or I have to help with homework. And I started labeling that I didn't have the time to take care of my house. So I was aware of all of these things for years. And, you know, just because I wasn't paying attention to those thoughts and I wasn't questioning those thoughts and those frustrations, I was oblivious. So through this, I kind of want to bring, you know, awareness again and just show that, you know, you already are applying systems that are working for you, and kind of how to make those systems a little bit easier. And the things that you're kind of dreading to clean, I'm going to be teaching, you know, you have to clean those more often, because the reason that you're dreading them is probably because you're avoiding those items. And when you avoid something, everything just starts getting a lot harder or dirtier in the case of cleaning. So I'm excited to kind of teach what I've learned through this process. So hopefully with me sharing my journey, it can bring some like awareness, but also some like ideas. I am like a huge advocate for everybody being who they are. I don't think we should all be the same. I think, you know, we should listen to how, you know, the world was designed, and every individual person is completely different. Your iris is completely different. Your fingerprint is completely different. There's so many things inside of our bodies that are totally different. Our personalities are different. So that means that everyone's system is going to be completely different. And I'm going to share my complete system. It's very complex, but it's very simple. So I'm going to go through each step of the way and, you know, share what my family does, what I do, how often, how long it typically takes. And that's something too that I really want to focus on is time. Our brains kind of pull this trick on us, making projects look a lot bigger and like they're going to take a lot longer than they actually are. And it's just an avoidance mechanism. So once you see how long things actually take, you'll stop avoiding those things and you'll kind of find a reward in it. So I definitely want to talk more about the effort and reward system, as well as the cause and effect. Those two things is kind of where you'll find discipline and how you'll find effort and motivation within yourself, and kind of drop off of finding motivation from other people, which, you know, it's good to encourage other people, but we should always find motivation within ourselves. And I definitely want to share more videos about that process. So I'm also going to be sharing my chore system and kind of how I created that. It's a very complex system. There's a lot of moving parts to it, but it's very simple. So I have kind of designed this over the past few years, and this is always the one we resort back to. I'm constantly trying to shift my systems just because something may be more effective or more efficient. So I'm never going to shut down, you know, changing my ways, but this is what I always revert back to. And through that, I'm going to be sharing what the flow steps are. So flow steps to me is the way I flow through my house and the order that I kind of clean each area. That way I can ensure that I'm being effective, but also time efficient. I also want to show you how you can create a chore system for your house. I know we're all different, so our chore systems and cleaning cycles are going to be totally different. So with us being a huge family, our cleaning system involves all of us. So all the way down to my 5-year-old and up. And I think it's very important that you teach your children how to clean, because it's a life skill. I know some people think that, you know, having your children clean is a punishment, but it's definitely not a punishment. It is definitely a life skill. So I also want to help you be able to step out of that repetitive behavior with your home and kind of rebuild your relationship with cleaning. I know that sounds silly, but it's very critical to being able to run your house. I believe that mindset is everything. And I believe the only way that you can truly fail is if you throw in the towel and just say, this is the way of life, and accept it as it is. When you're trying to change and get control back over your house, there's going to be a lot of systems that you apply, but there's going to be a lot of failures. And whenever you're going through each system and everything that you're trying is failing, you can't just say, I've tried everything and nothing works. You haven't failed no matter how many times it happens. You're just trying to find the boundary of that system. You can try 1,000 different methods and none of those work, but you can't say at that point even that you have tried everything, because there's always a solution to every problem. You're gonna have to really get comfortable with failing in the terms of life, right? So failing is not a bad thing. And whenever you start getting comfortable with failing, then you start seeing that failing is part of success. And no matter who is out there, if they're successful, that means that they have failed and failed and failed again. But failure isn't actually failing. It's just finding the boundaries of whatever you're trying to desire. So if you are trying to apply a system in your home to be, cleaner and more organized, you're gonna find a lot of systems that didn't work. But say your laundry system, that you have applied a great system to it, and you keep adding more and more items, thinking that system can, maintain your clothing cycles, and it just won't. So your systems that you apply and that even work, they're going to change with you, right? So my system that I had before I was this minimal, no longer would work for me. So that's not a failing thing. And, you know, you need to adapt to change. So get comfortable with failing. It's totally fine. I still do it. And I know that it's just part of growth and it's part of the process of being, you know, more successful than you were yesterday. So I'm completely comfortable with failing. I don't find any shame or embarrassment in it like I used to think that it was going to bring me. So hopefully through that, you know, I can share some of my failing points and you can get more comfortable with that as well. And something that really shifted the way that I look at failing was a documentary about space that I had watched. And it was a guy talking about failure rate and how, you know, NASA has a failure rate to each engine or spacecraft that they create. And after watching that, I kind of realized that, you know, these specialists that are very educated in their profession still knows that there's going to be a failure rate, and you know, their failure rate could be catastrophic. It could actually take someone's life. So, you know, always look at it and gauge it and know that, you know, your house, although it is important, it's not the end of the world and you can maintain it. And right now, I think, you know, talking about, you know, NASA and space, they are going through a situation where systems are not working correctly. And now there's 2 astronauts in space that have a delayed return. And it's not the end of the world. And if they're able to, you know, be in space for an extended period of time and survive, then we can also go through uncomforts in our house trying to find something that works. So long story short, don't throw in the towel and don't beat yourself up, because you can always find a solution to every problem, and cleaning your house can actually be more rewarding than daunting. So I'm really excited to share everything that I learned and also have a new hobby that can be very impactful on somebody else. I remember looking up throughout my whole journey, like how to clean this, how to clean that, how to clean this. And thankfully, you know, we have the internet now, and I know some people like think it's a disadvantage, but as long as you respect, you know, these devices and you respect yourself and watch kind of like your behavior patterns, these are beneficial, right? Like we have the whole world at our fingertips, and if you want to learn about something, it's just right there. If you want to see the other side of the world, it's right there. So although I am strict on my phone usage and kind of what I'm watching and what I'm listening to, these, you know, devices can open up a whole new world. So I'm excited to be able to get on social media and kind of help people out that are feeling the same way that I used to, because it was not, you know, fun, and it was a very hard time of my life that I think we all kind of go through, especially, you know, being younger and then, you know, purchasing your house and going through the whole effect of, you know, being homeowners and young parents and this and that. I can definitely share my stories. I don't find anything wrong with, you know, sharing your harder times just as easy as sharing your easy times. And, you know, sharing harder things on your channel can help other people. So I don't want to focus on the hard things, but I do want to show that, you know, life happens to all of us. And sometimes on social media, we don't see the hard times, and that can be very detrimental to only see the good times of other people's life and not understand that, you know, everybody else is going through life too. They just might not want to share it, and that's totally okay. That's their business. But through my minimalism journey and my cleaning journey, I have definitely hit some failures, and you know, it's okay. I'm so excited to share everything and have a new hobby that could potentially impact someone's life in a good way. So I'm excited to kind of share, you know, my failures and my successes and kind of how I got to a point of my life that I don't feel the pressure of the world sitting on my shoulders. So hopefully, even if I'm able to help one person, I will be extremely thankful for that. So now I've cut out a few hours each day from Monday through Friday to be able to put into YouTube. Now I'm kind of creating my system on the background. So when I'm recording and scheduling everything out, getting back to comments. So thank you for being patient with me. If you left a comment, I know that is like a struggle area, and I'm definitely putting time to get back to all my comments each day. So hopefully that will improve. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting us and allowing us to be able to share our journey. And I would love to hear everybody else's journey as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.